Baseball gets their time under the lights of Citizens Bank Park. What? Hello, I'm Anna Gomez.
And I'm Dana Pecora. It might be April, but we're still talking about women's basketball. Find out why on LaSalle TV's home for Explorer Athletics, SportsLine.
Welcome to SportsLine. We have 2 full weeks of spring sports action to fill you in on, including our own when the SportsLine team participated in LaSalle's Walk with the Women of LaSalle Athletics.
And later, Jake Smolinski sits down with his gooeyest, sappiest SportsLine crush since Kelsey Haycock. That's right, SportsLine has the scoop on the basketball phenom Jasmine Austin.
But first, let's take a look at our SportsLine top 3.
Number 1. On April 18th, the LaSalle baseball team headed down to Citizens Bank Park to take on crosstown rivals, the Penn Quakers. The contest was the final of the 2017 Liberty Bell Classic, in which the Explorers tackled the Lehigh Mountain Hawks and Delaware Blue Hens. The showdown between the Explorers and Quakers turned out to be an epic pitching duel between LaSalle's freshman Matt Holt, who limited Penn to 6 hits over 7 innings, and Penn's Mitch Holcomb, who allowed just 4 hits in his outing. Penn tacked on their first and only run of the affair in the top of the first inning, and the score held 1-0 until the bottom of the 8th, when LaSallian first baseman Ben Fazo sent a screaming rocket into the bleachers and drove in 2 runs. The boys held on to their 2-1 lead to crown themselves champions.
And number 2, another LaSalle alumni is trying to be the next Tom Gola. That's right. Sean Quigley, the 2008 track and field and cross-country graduate, came in 11th place in the Boston Marathon. Quigley was a 5-time All-American here at LaSalle with 3 in track and field and 2 in cross-country. The LaSalle Hall of Famer was never lost, finishing the Boston Marathon in just 2 hours and 15 minutes and 34 seconds, which gives him a pace of 5 minutes and 11 seconds per mile, which is much faster than my single mile run. This placed him 11th overall and 7th of Americans. Goal worthy? I don't think so just yet.
Number 3, some of LaSalle's men and women's basketball players were honored by the Big Five this past week. First, B.J. Johnson was named to the All-Big Five first team for leading the Explorers with 17.6 points per game and 6.3 rebounds per game. The nicely clean-shaven Jordan Price was recognized for the 3rd straight year, earning a spot in the All-Big Five second team. For the women, Amy Griffin added to her other accolades of All-A-10 first team and All-ECAC second team with an All-Big Five first team honor, as well as the leading scorer averaging 19.6 points per game. Recent SportsLine interviewee Adriana Miller was also recognized as the leading free throw shooter with an 88.6 free throw percentage. Congratulations, BJ, Jordan, Amy, and Adriana.
Wow, all right. Well, it was an early start for these SportsLine producers, getting up before noon for the Walk with the Women of LaSalle Athletics fundraiser benefiting the women of LaSalle Athletics. But we did it anyway, so let's take a look. So, now in its 2nd year, LaSalle's Walk with the Women is a fundraiser supporting the programs of LaSalle Athletics. Walkers were athletes, alumni, family, and LaSalle fans alike that toured the campus of LaSalle and even got to catch a game or 2 on the way. In our journey across campus, we caught up with 2 alums that helped make field hockey history. Mary Breslin and Kelly Walker were 2 members of LaSalle's 1983 field hockey team that won 2 national titles in their 5 years of the program. And they were here at LaSalle for a very special reason.
Women's field hockey was only 5 years. And to see it grow over the years, it's just amazing. But it can't grow without financial support. So that's why I'm here.
That's what touched me most, the community, with the teammates and the faculty and our coaches and just everybody pulling for each other and standing for women's athletics and, excellence, really.
Yeah.
Our route spanned from Founders Hall to West Campus softball, through the quad, and finishing up at McCarthy to cheer on lacrosse against George Washington. We were treated to some soft pretzels, Explorer swag, and some classic LaSalle sports action.
I think honestly walking around getting to know some of the other girls on the teams that we've never met before. We don't get to spend a lot of time together because everybody's practice schedule is so hectic, and it's fun to meet, the basketball team, the soccer team, and make some new friends today. I think it's a great cause to support the women, especially the athletes at LaSalle. We could definitely use the money to put back into our teams here.
Thanks to Jessica Bryant for that talk. At the start of the walk, LaSalle had raised over $50,000 in support of women's programs at LaSalle. This money will go toward existing programs at LaSalle and recruitment for the next generation of women athletes. And that just about wraps up for our top 3 plus our extra special edition with Women's Walk. But let us catch you up on the last 2 weeks of Explorer action. Dana?
Thank you. Softball struggled in 2 consecutive weekends of A10 play. Back on April 8th, the Explorers split a doubleheader with George Washington. The Colonials won the series with a 5-1 victory over LaSalle. On Friday the 14th, the Explorers were visited by the Dayton Flyers. The score remained deadlocked at 4 when the Flyers finally scored on a LaSalle error. Dayton scored again on an RBI single. The Explorers managed only 1 run on a Michelle Haggerty homer in the bottom of the 6th. The Flyers went on to sweep the Explorers, notching consecutive victories the following day. The Blue and Gold took a break from A10 play and competed against Philly rival Drexel in a doubleheader. This time, it was LaSalle's turn to break out the brooms as the Explorers defeated the Dragons in both games. It was a team effort as the Blue and Gold scored 10 runs to Drexel's 8. Marlo Roadcap got her 8th win of the year, while Mackenzie Peace earned her 2nd save. In Game 2, the Explorers demolished the Dragons by a score of 14-3, with the mercy rule coming into play after only 5 innings.
Baseball continued to struggle at home against Davidson. The Wildcats' offense was on fire, coming up with 24 runs on 20 hits. LaSalle's offense continued to struggle and lost their last 2 games in the series. And after a tough 3 games, the Explorers were looking to turn their bats around on the road against Lehigh. Ben Fazo had an impressive game, drilling the bat to right center for a grand slam, marking his 4th home run of the season. That was the only runs for LaSalle, which resulted in a 13-4 loss for the Explorers. The team then headed to Ohio to take on Miami. That's weird. LaSalle was able to take on a 2-1 lead over Miami, but the Red Hawks came back in for the 7th inning with 2 more runs to take it to the win. It was all Miami in Game 2 when they scored 15 runs on 14 hits. LaSalle's offense was asleep, only scoring 2 runs on 4. In the last game against Miami, the Explorers struggles continued while Miami's offense continued to shine as the Red Hawks scored 7 runs to come up with the sweep against LaSalle.
The women's water polo team traveled up to New York to finish out its inaugural season this past Saturday with a doubleheader against Iona and Siena College. Unfortunately, the team did not end on a high note as they fell to Iona 18-5 and to Siena 15-3. In the first game, Stephanie Morales led the scoring for the Blue and Gold with 2 goals, while Paige Neary and Caitlin Kubo had 6 and 4 steals, respectively, on the defensive end. Neary continued to have a breakout day when she tallied 2 goals, 6 kickouts, and 5 steals in the second game. Freshman Casey Seos also contributed a goal for the Explorers against Siena. Although a tough season for the women's water polo team, ending with a 1-16 record, the women battled tough and made history for LaSalle women's athletics.
And men's rowing came back out on April 8th against another Iona squad, sweeping the varsity 8 and the varsity 4. Then the focus turned to the 51st annual Kerr Cup the following weekend when the Explorers had 3 different 4s racing. The first varsity 4 teams all struggled with a 5th place finish in their heat and failed to qualify. The freshman 4 also struggled, taking 3rd in their heat and missing out on the finals. The Explorers' second varsity 4 were ready and just squeak ahead of Delaware to win their heat with a time of 7 minutes and 19 seconds. In the finals, the crew was led by coxswain Quack Train and stroke Kyle Adams were ready and fought the entire race, but fell less than 3 seconds to Michigan for a 2nd place finish.
Women's lacrosse just came off a hardcore 2-week stretch of home city matches. It was an A10 bloodbath with VCU, George Washington, UMass, and St. Joe's all looking to blow out our underdog team. However, the Explorers finally turned around their conference drought with 2 consecutive wins against VCU and George Washington. And you know what? The doubts we had about Tony Massetti being in a rough patch came to a close in the VCU game. She scored a dominating 6 goals. So, led by Massetti and with stellar midfield play, LaSalle pulled off a 15-11 win against an evenly matched VCU squad. Next came a solid performance against George Washington, led by Allie Ilgenfritz, who pulled off 5 goals. Despite a tug-of-war first half, LaSalle owned the second for a 13-11 win.
And following that, with 2 A10 wins under their belt, consistency issues started to show as the Explorers rounded out this home game stretch. Dastardly UMass pulled no punches in a brutal 25-10 win. LaSalle's backfield crumbled against the seemingly infinite 53 shots that the Minutemen fired. Goalie Lucy Laughlin was hung out to dry despite making a valiant 13 saves in the net. It looks like UMass is going to be the team to topple in their undefeated record in the A10. And next was St. Joe's, who sits right behind UMass in the standings. Once again, LaSalle faced a savage offense who ripped 40 shots over the course of the game. However, LaSalle's mid-end defense game was much more controlled this time around, and the Explorers kept it even with St. Joe's in terms of caused turnovers and ball control. But it would not be enough in the 15-8 loss. LaSalle's record sits at 2-4 in the A10. We're definitely a work in progress.
Men's golf took to the greens on Monday, April 10th at the Finnegan Invitational, which just happens to be the Explorers' home event. Out of the 14 teams that competed in LaSalle's invite, the Explorers finished 8th with a combined 2-round score of 38 over par. As a team, LaSalle shot exactly 19 over par in both the first and second round of the tournament. As for the individual play of the Explorers, 2 players stood out from the rest. Both freshman Evan Gaser and junior Brandon Ryle were the top scorers for LaSalle and tied for 15th place out of the 74-player field. Now, the women's golf team played at the Navy Classic on April 8th and 9th. As a team, the Explorers finished in 12th place. Junior Marion Cologne trimmed an impressive 6 shots off her score and closed at 178 to finish in 53rd place, 4 spots ahead of where she closed day 1. Freshman Rebecca Smith also had a better second round than her first, shooting a team best 85 to remain in a tie for 43rd individually.
Track and field split their outdoor seasons, with athletes traveling to practically every track and field event on the East Coast for the last 2 weeks. So we're just going to talk Sam Howell and Johns Hopkins. At the Sam Howell invite in Princeton, New Jersey, David Ozorowski led the way in a long distance with a 15th-place finish in the 5,000 meter, and newcomer Anthony Hawthorne snagged 6th in a field of 45. Teo Tyler led the way for the women with a 4th-place finish in the 1,500 meter. Jessica Bryant earned her stripes in the long jump, knocking back an 11.72 jump like it was a game of leapfrog. No croaking here. And on to Johns Hopkins, where our fave sprinter Justin Guerre secured a 2nd-place finish out of 44 in the 100 meter, and then he tied for 1st place in the 200 meter. Ariel Mitchell also had a top finish for LaSalle when she led the 100 meter event ahead of 40 other sprinters.
Well, that just about does it for this week's recaps. When we come back, Jake Smolinski sits down with senior basketball player Jasmine Austin. Stick around.
Three, 2, 1, action. You may think a guy would be producing this, but I can too. Anyone can find a cure.
Women are being downgraded for their physical ability, but you can be just as strong.
%20 of women are engineers, but it doesn't stop there.
I'm a tech girl. I'm a tech girl.
I am a tech girl.
I am a tech girl.
Welcome back. As many viewers may know, SportsLine loves the women's basketball team. For this week's On the Sidelines, Jake got to sit down with the one and only Jasmine Austin. Check it out.
Hello and welcome to another edition of On the Sidelines. I'm your host, Jacob Smolinski, and I'm sitting down here with one of the most impressive, underrated, and quintessential women's basketball players that I could say we ever had in the studio. Welcome, Jasmine Austin. Great to have you on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
So, kind of wanted to talk a bit about your role on the team. Because you don't exactly play a conventional game. Is there any way you could kind of try to explain it?
Well, I'm a point guard, a 5'9" point guard, which is kind of different because most people are like 5'6", 5'5", so I'm big for my position. And I am a pass-first point guard, and nowadays with everybody wanting to be flashy, that's like not me. I'm more of like the get somebody else involved, and I pride myself play defense. That's something like I've always been known to do, even if having a bad game. And then rebounding has become one of my, my little talents I have now. It just became something that I know I have to do to help my team.
Yeah, and because that's the thing, like you are also currently the all-time leader in steals in LaSalle history, and you have, I think, like an insane amount of assists this season as well. Yeah. And you kind of were really the glue that held the team together. And I guess, especially as a senior, like what is it like, I guess, looking back on seeing such a change from just seeing like the struggle, but then really having like an impressive season?
I think it was so gratifying just to see how we started from when I first got here. We had a good amount of wins, and my junior year we had like a really bad year, and then we completely turned it around. So I felt like we definitely laid down the foundation for the teams to come. I mean, for the girls and the teams to come to like just be better, just see that what it has to be to get to the next level and get to the tournament, because we had people sitting out that were just like, we got it, like we got you next year. Like I know we came up short, but next year, like we're gonna do it. So it's like awesome to know that we changed this program around to just being like, LaSalle's not, the doormat of Philly. It's not the doormat of the A10. We are a competitor, and we not something like not to take, lightly.
Yeah, that's so cool to kind of hear your guys' perspective on it, because you guys did kind of drop out of the tournament a little earlier than we were, like, you guys, I feel like you guys really wanted, like, hoped. But I think like seriously, like if you have the whole team is in that same mindset, that is so incredibly cool. Yeah,
it's amazing, because when you have a group of people who have, what it is like to lose, and then you experience what it's like to win, you can see how it just uplifts everyone, and you only want to win. Yeah. So when we started the season 0-3, you're just like, oh gosh, this is like last year. Like we didn't change anything. We thought we did so much, but then we had a team meeting. We like, guys, this is what we all need to do. This is your role. This is what we need. And then we won like 6 games straight, or we won like 6-1, or we won like 1 game in a whole month. We lost like 1 game in a whole month, which was like, okay, guys, we could have started the season off like that. We got to have the mindset of winners. We can't have the mindset of losers.
And one of the things that we covered with LaSalle was the fact that you guys went undefeated in December. That was like the thing. It was like you guys won, something like 5 games in December. You won 5 games in December, compared to last season only winning the 5 games overall. And that was such a mind-boggling statistic to see that direct shift.
It's crazy.
But to kind of like turn things around a little bit is because we were just talking about like your personal playing style. Where did that start?
Well, when I was little, I thought I was big from little, since I was little, so I thought I was gonna be like a big man. I always wanted to be like 6'7", like I always felt like being tall is like the thing. And then I stopped growing in like 5th grade, and I was like, okay, I have to be a guard. So I'm like, oh, I wasn't that good. Then I just started like practicing, always playing. I got better, then I just fell into the point guard role. It just like, I just always kind of been a leader naturally, and it just kind of just happened. And then I was like, okay, I guess I'm a big point guard, I guess. I didn't really notice, I didn't think nothing of it, because I'm not gonna glow. I just wanna like play and win and be a team player. So, I don't know, that's just how it was.
No, that's crazy, because that's not something that a lot of players necessarily think of as like a potential position to play, but it's honestly one of the most important ones.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes back to especially this season, getting to see you kind of really leading that offense. And so like, could you possibly describe what like a typical play, like you get that rebound and you're looking up the court, like what are you thinking?
Oh, if I get a rebound, I am trying to push it, throw the ball up to hopefully Amy or Buddha. Buddha gonna run to the 3. Amy will run to the paint though. Try to get a quick score. If not, just try to get something good. Always try to crash the boards for offensive rebound as well, because that's something that we need to get fresh offense and stuff. And I just like to push when we can, or just
because you play an extremely physical game, how have you managed to like keep it all together over the course of this time?
I don't know. Like I haven't really ever really got hurt. I mean, the only time like I was like kind of hurt, I like got elbowed in the eye when we played Villanova, and when my eye blew up, my coach was like, "Yeah, you're okay," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I'm okay." Like I can see still. So it was like I'm used to being physical. They just made the rules a little so you can't be that physical. But I'm used to playing the physical game and playing against boys most of my life. So like playing against girls who are just as strong as boys is not that big of a difference to me now.
Yeah, and does this kind of go back to like I guess maybe like playing like pickup or like where like you getting to compete with? It feels like you've competed with everybody.
Yeah.
Where did that start?
Like my family is like a basketball family,
Oh,
so
gotcha.
like a lot of people didn't go to college, but growing up, everyone played. Everyone went outside. We all played together. And my coach, who's my cousin, he made me play with the boys, and his daughter. We all played together since we were young. He had his own AAU team, and this is what we were used to forever. So it wasn't that big of a deal when we had to go play with girls.
Yeah.
It was like we're used to being roughed around and thinking that we're not good. So it's like when we play with girls, like, oh, we're not that bad,
Yeah. And no, because honestly, it shows that and you're not the typical basketball player. And it was awesome to get to talk to you about this. And that kind of wraps up this interview. But wish you the best of luck, especially as graduation's kind of rolling around. And it was a really beautiful season to get to watch. Even though it did kind of fall off, but it was amazing to see you guys finally like really see that payoff. So thank you for coming up.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jasmine. And that is it for On the Sidelines. Back to the desk.
So that was a really awesome interview. It was really cool to kind of see her open up about her progression as a player, even from a young age to now.
Yeah, I mean, just to hear about where she started and who she became as an athlete now was really, really exciting. But with that said, we are going to head to another short commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to bring Jake Smolinski back on desk. Stick around. It's good.
I see my friends out there getting waves. It's like, it's hard. It was a surprise to me when they told me I had MS. It's like, you sure?
Well, this is a virtual reality rig, and this is going to allow Steve to see and experience the waves that I ride.
Put that on your head. Whoa.
There is plenty of LaSalle sports action this upcoming week, so let us preview 3 upcoming events for LaSalle Athletics in Jake's Picks of the Week.
And pick number 1, we're talking Lax versus Duquesne on Friday, April 21st. Duquesne, 0-6. They haven't even had to face off against UMass yet. And if women's lacrosse has learned anything from the losses against UMass and St. Joe's, they will most definitely be forming a human pyramid out of our midfield and defense in front of the goal. Not only will it be impenetrable, it will feel as if, I think like this strategy will be carried out throughout the rest of the season. All they need is the synergy of Brittany Edwards, Tony Mazzetti, Allie Ilgenfritz to run this offense. Picture this, a human monolith at one end of our field, just as our starting offense just simply does effortless one-timers back and forth. And I don't think they'll be sacrificing the Explorer as an appeasement to the Tom Gola this game. They'll probably save that for playoffs, but one can only dream. I predict a monolithic 0 goals for Duquesne. All right, pick number 2, men's baseball versus UMass in a weekend series. And I hate UMass, and not even going to be frank about it. Have I compromised my integrity as a sports broadcaster? Of course, I have like 2 more weeks left before graduation, and I get to project my overblown opinions on the air. All I'm saying is that baseball seems to be the only sport that UMass hasn't ruined for every other team in the A-10. And it's obviously because before every game with their Massachusetts roots,
Each team normally listens to Robin Williams' speech about love to Matt Damon from Good Will Hunting, but apparently the men's baseball team has been slacking on their bus rides and haven't watched this iconic and motivational scene. UMass, you've gotten complacent. LaSalle, I see a hunger in your eyes that mirrors Matt Damon when he finally conquers that big old algebra question at the end of the film and punches his way through the space-time continuum. Motto for this weekend series, bigger bats, bigger hearts, which also happens to be a quote that Robin Williams improvised during that scene. And yeah, how do you like them apples, UMass? And anyway, pick number 3, women's golf at the MAAC Championships this weekend. Now, I'm not looking for anything too flashy from the women's golf team. It's like watching a reef shark trying to hold its own against like 50 great whites. The thing is, in nature, that's basically a golf invitational. All these senior great whites from other teams will be focusing on talking trash to each other and threatening each other with physical violence. And that's where the LaSalle Reef Sharks comes in. We're quicker than the great whites, and also we have no ego at this point. In a weekend invitational, the Reef Sharks literally have nothing to lose. So if they put their best fin forward, they'll be able to individually climb the ranks. And I'm talking about freshman Rebecca Smith. She's the quickest of the reef sharks on our team, and we also aren't just made up of reef sharks. There's the Wabagong, a slightly bigger shark than the reef shark. And that is junior Miriam Cologne, who has had experience in the championships at a previous school. And let's see if she has the heart to kill, metaphorically, of course. So let's see where our sharks rank at the MAAC championships this weekend.
Wow.
That wraps my picks of the week, and I hope this helps explain the life or death athletic battles that will be occurring over the next week. Thank you. I'm Jacob Smolinski.
Thank you so much, Jacob Smolinski.
My God,
that was cinematic. And that just about wraps her up for us this week. If you can't make it out to see the Sports Report, which we didn't talk about, check out Jake's Picks of the Week. Be sure to tune in next week for our coverage. Keep up with this weekend's other sporting events by visiting gosports.com or check out this week's edition of The Collision.
Also, check us out on Facebook at facebook.com/LaSalleTV. We welcome you to send us your thoughts and suggestions there.
For Jake and our SportsLine team, I'm Anna Gomez.
And I'm Dana Pecora. Thanks for joining, and we'll see you at the game.